Welcome to Evolve Your Life, the podcast where values meet vision, ambition meets alignment, and family fuels your purpose. I'm Dr. Stefanie Ascher, chiropractor, entrepreneur, homeschool mom, cancer warrior, and your go-to girl for building harmony in every area of life. Around here, women step into living fully and authentically, and we believe you are capable and worthy of it all. So grab your coffee, get cozy, and let's evolve your life together. Hey love, welcome back to Evolve Your Life. I am so excited for today's episode because if you have ever felt like you're constantly trying to juggle work, family, and everything in between, this episode is for you. Today, we are talking about what it means to put family at the center and to create a vision for your home life that becomes the compass for every decision you make. Because when your family vision leads, everything else finds its right place. So let's talk about how we built our family vision and how it's shaped everything from our business decisions to the way we spend our weekends and our travel schedule. There have been multiple distinct seasons of life where my family priorities have fallen in different places. When I first opened Evolve, Cooper was only 7 months old. Cooper is my oldest son. And for the first few years, everything was about my family. I was a new mom. I was breastfeeding. Cooper was in the office with us. I was in between patients, feeding him, taking care of him, and making sure that I was present for all of the special firsts and big moments in his life. And then when Grayson came along 3 years later, it was the same way. Grayson was in the office with us. I was still trying to navigate having a newborn, having a toddler, building the business. And the reality is, in that season of life, Evolve and Evolve's growth was on the back burner. My goals with Evolve at the time were much, much smaller than they were now. And I was just so focused on being a mom. Being a mom was my number one goal in life from the time that I was a little girl. And then there was a season where business started to crowd out my family life. And it was when Grayson was around a year old and Evolve started organically growing and really taking off. And I was spending full 10 to 12 hour days in the office. I was working in the business. I was working on the business. I was a one-woman show. It was Steve and myself in the office, just the two of us for a long time before we brought Maddie on, who is now our office manager. But I was in a grind season. I was running myself into the ground. I was doing all of the things and I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I was sacrificing the people that I was building this life for. And my moment of realization that made me stop and say, this isn't how it should be, was truly when I got sick. I realized I had checked all of the boxes on my list. When you are faced with a moment where you look back on your life and you're analyzing how you lived, it puts a lot of things in perspective. And I had the dreamy husband, check. I had my cute little babes, check. I had Evolve, check. But everything that I worked so hard to create and have, I wasn't fully enjoying. And honestly, one of the things for me was I realized I was working so hard to grow my family and grow the business that I wasn't enjoying the fruits of my labor. I wasn't traveling and seeing the world like I'd always wanted to. And this was a turning point where I really began recentering my family priorities because time had been put into perspective for me in such a clear way that I realized success felt hollow without peace at home. And so I redefined what success meant for us as a family, not just as a business owner. That's when we sat down and created something that's become our guiding light, our North Star, and it's our family vision. For the last 5 or 6 years, Steve and I sit down every year and do a family vision casting. We also do a personal vision casting. Don't worry, I will give you all the details about that. later in the year as we get closer to the new year. Today is all about the family vision framework because defining the vision for your family allows you to get really clear in the kind of environment you want your kids to grow up in, what rhythms you want to hold in your home, what values you are making your decisions around. And your family vision statement doesn't need to be fancy, but it's really about clarity. It defines what you stand for and what matters most. We prioritize connection and peace and memories because there's going to be chaos, there's going to be pressure, and there's going to be great milestones, but it's all about the people in our home. So, our family vision isn't about rules, especially if you know my kids. It's about rhythm. And our family vision has become our compass when life starts to pull us in many different directions, because having that clarity of what we're creating for our family is what allows me to determine every other decision that I make. And so we sit down once a year and really analyze what we want the next season to look like for our family, what our goals are for our kids, for their learning, for their experiences, and make decisions so that we can ensure that we are supporting them in the way that we want to. And with that, once we have complete clarity on where we're at, where we're going, additional support we need, what we want to enroll our kids in, what we want them to learn, things that need to be eliminated. After that, every business opportunity, every event, every invitation to go do something, every trip, every project runs through my family filter. And I ask myself, does this align with our family goals? Does it add peace or does it add pressure? And so some real life examples of this is we love to travel as a family. And last year, we traveled at least every other weekend. We were gone anywhere from 2 to 4 weekends a month. And we loved that. That was our goal for 2024. That's the season we were in where we wanted to experience the world, travel together, create memories. And it was amazing. And it was absolutely exhausting. If you have ever traveled with a 2 and 5-year-old, you get it. Say less, I digress. It was a lot. And through that, I learned that for our family, it was too much. We need to have ideally a weekend at home in between all of our trips and travel. For me personally, I also learned that I need one set day on the weekend to be home to refresh, re energize, and refocus for the week to come. And so now we're very intentional, even when we're asked to do things on weekends, to make sure that Sundays are our home day. Fridays are typically a family Friday, and Saturdays is more of our free for all day. Also, when we did our family vision casting, it was very clear to us that a priority was to homeschool our kids. Now, homeschooling is one of the most rewarding things that I've ever had the opportunity to do. And it's also one of the greatest sacrifices. So, to all of you homeschool parents out there, I applaud you. I praise you. It is an amazing gift to give our children. And it is also a ton of work and a huge commitment. With that being said, when we were running through our family values, that's what aligned for us. Sending our kids to school did not align with our values about what was taught a lot in different education systems. And also with our practice, Steve and I work in the office in the evenings and a lot of times don't get home until after 7 p.m. So if we sent our kids to school all day and they got out at 3 and we were home at 7, we would not get the time together that we value and prioritize as a family. We also had to get very clear about boundaries to protect our family, especially because Steve and I work together. This was a challenging thing that we had to navigate over the years. In the beginning of when we opened Evolve 6.5 years ago, everything that we did was living and breathing Evolve and Cooper at the time. So it was always Evolve and our kids. And what happened, especially when we were in the growth stage of practice, was all of our conversations were about business, growth, finance, or a baby. And there is nothing that will kill the spice like that. I mean, it was just constantly about other things besides us as individuals and as a couple. And so now we do not talk about work at home. It is very rare. Last night was one of those evenings. I brought up work at home. I just had a lot on my mind and on my heart that I needed to get off my chest. And then after, I was like, I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. And there are moments where it'll come up, but we catch it so fast now because what we realized was it would be a weekend and one person would check the work email and say something to the other person. And we would be out and about having a family day. And then it would be on our minds for 20 minutes or hours, depending on what it was. And it was ruining our family time. It was ruining our connection. And it was a boundary that we were consistently crossing, and it was disrupting the peace and the love in our home. And so now, if one of us checks the email on weekends, we don't talk about it. If something comes up that can wait till Monday, we don't talk about it. And so just finding what our family boundaries had to be as well is very important. So we really sat down and went through what the boundaries needed to be, but also what we wanted our traditions to be and the things that we could look forward to. For us, we love to go somewhere at least once a month. This year, we are having more of a home year, so we are not traveling like we were last year. We got the travel bug out of our system, but we are making sure that we are doing fun weekends away or fun day trips. We have our family vacation goals. And all of this doesn't just happen by accident. It's built through rhythm and it's built through intention. And our family just doesn't happen between the cracks of our schedule anymore. It is the schedule. And the boundaries that we have created are how we protect what we value. And so I encourage you to think about what it would look like for your family to have a clear vision, one that your schedule, your goals, and your decisions all flow from. If your family had a mission statement, what would it say? Our business has a mission statement, and so does our family. And be intentional with what one change you could make this week to bring your family closer to the center of your heart and to your priorities. Because building a family-centered life isn't just about doing less, it's about prioritizing and doing what matters most. And when your family becomes the foundation, everything else has room to grow and thrive from that. So keep your eye out because there will be a part 2 to this episode. We may have a special guest, and we are going to walk you through our family vision casting. You will get access to a downloadable so you can bring it into your home and do it with your spouse and your kids. And here's to leading with love, protecting what matters most, and building a life that your family truly flourishes in. Until next time, let's evolve your life together. Thanks for hanging out with me today on Evolve Your Life. If this episode inspired you, leave a review, share it with a friend, follow so you never miss a moment, and come connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Stefanie Ascher. Until next time, keep evolving your life boldly, beautifully, and unapologetically.